Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Storytime with Grandma Kate. We're going to continue with Junie B. Jones, Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, P.S. So Does May. In our last video, we finished with chapter 3, where Junie B. and May just could not get along. Junie B. was kind of rude to her during the Christmas sing-along, but May was kind of like bossy and tattletale-ish, as Junie B would say. So I think they're both at fault here, and I'm not sure how this is going to work out. Do you? What do you think? We're going to start today with chapter 4, and this video is going to be chapters 4, 5, and 6. So again, if it's too long for you, just hit pause and come back when you feel ready. So chapter 4, it starts with a journal entry, and it's called Going Last. Wednesday. Dear first grade journal, Mother and Daddy were not good sports about the note. Remember, Mr. Scary wrote a note for them to take home. They said it is not funny to throw someone off a sleigh. That made me laugh all over again. I got sent to my room for a timeout. Grown-ups do not understand humor. From Junie B., first grader. I put down my pencil and I glared my eyes at May's head. She did not look up from her journal. I know you're staring at me, Junie Jones, but I don't care that we got notes sent home, she said. My mother was proud of me. In fact, she said that you deserve to get tattled on. I glared harder. Sometimes if you glare hard enough, you can melt people's heads. I saw that on a movie commercial once. It was PG-13, I believe. I kept squinting and glaring, but May's head did not melt. Finally, I rested my eyes. I will try to melt her again at lunch. Just then, Mr. Scary stood up at his desk and he said to put our journals away. Boys and girls, today is the day for our first visit to the holiday gift shop in the media center, remember? He said. I sent a note about it home to your parents last week. He smiled. Today we'll just be looking at the gifts, he said. Then on Friday, we'll go back with our money and buy the things we want. I waved my hand all around. Guess what, Mr. Scary? Guess what? My mother said I get to spend one whole dollar on every person in my family, and that adds up to $5 entire dollars, I said. Lucille raised her hand. I can spend all the money in the world, she said. I'm rich. She stood up and fluffed herself. My family has more money than you can shake a stick at. Mr. Scary stared at her for a long time. Yes, well, fortunately, we don't need to be rich to shop at the gift shop, Lucille, he said at last. Everything is affordable. Does everyone know what affordable means? I do, I called out. Affordable means cheap. My grandpa Frank Miller loves cheap. Sheldon jumped up. Hey, my grandpa loves cheap too, only my grandma calls him cheap old Ned. Mr. Scary did a chuckle. Before we go to the gift shop, we're going to draw names for our Secret Santa gift party. And that way you'll be able to look for your Secret Santa gifts while you're down there too. You know what a Secret Santa is? It's like when you choose a name, like when I used to teach school, all the teachers would put their name in a basket and you'd pull out just one person's name and you'd buy a gift for them. So you would be their Secret Santa, but they wouldn't know who it was who gave them the present until after everybody had opened their gifts. Okay, this is still Mr. Scary talking. We've been talking about this party all week. Can anyone tell me the most important rule about being a Secret Santa? Rule 1, room 1 shouted the rule together. You must keep the secret. Mr. Scary did a thumbs up. Yes, excellent. After you pick your name today, you must keep the name a secret, he said. If you don't keep the secret, then you're not really a Secret Santa, are you? After that, he carried around a basket with everyone's name in it. And all of the children closed their eyes and they picked a name. Only too bad for me, because I am in the very last seat of the very last row. And so when Mr. Scary finally got to me, there was only one dumb name left in the whole entire basket. And here is the dumbest part of all. My teacher pretended I should be happy about it. Congratulations, Junie B. Jones, he said. You have the honor of choosing the final name. I drummed my fingers, very annoyed. Okay, see, one name left is not actually choosing, I said. One name left is called Take It or Leave It. I crossed my mad arms. I hate being in this seat, Mr. Scary. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. I get all the bad stuff back here, I said. Even on the very first day of school, I got the only crayons that were already used. Mr. Scary looked up at the ceiling. Yes, Junie B, I know that. We all know that, he said. You mention it every time we color. I looked at some of my friends. Did I mention that my red crayon wasn't even pointy? Because it wasn't, you know. My red crayon was already roundy, said Lenny. Yes, you told us that already. He drummed my fingers some more. Did I mention that my greenie was broken in half, I asked. My greenie was just a teensy little stubby, said Jose. See, you told us that too. Mr. Scary handed me the last name. Look, right now, someone in this room is counting on you to be their secret Santa, Junie B, he said. So you really need to read that name now. I did a sigh. And then I slid down in my chair real glum. And I read the name. Guess who it was? Do you know who it is? What does that say? May. So she's May's secret Santa. Chapter 5 is called Elf Ladies. My head clunked down on my desk real hard. Mr. Scary read the name on my paper. I raised up and looked at him, and then I clunked back down again. Mr. Scary said to please knock off the clunking. He took my hand and stood me up. Boys and girls, Junie B needs a little bit of help reading the name, he said. We'll be right back. Then, quick as a wink, he hurried me into the hall, and he closed the door. I crossed my mad arms again. That's not fair, Mr. Scary. I hate that dumb name. I hate it. I hate it. She's frustrated, isn't she? I would be a little, maybe she feels a little bit angry. She looks a little angry. She says she has mad arms. So yeah, she's probably really mad. I wonder what Mr. Scary is going to say. My teacher snapped his fingers. You know I don't allow that word in my classroom, Junie B, he said. We do not hate in room 1. I looked all around myself. But I am not hating in room 1, I said. I'm hating in the hall. Mr. Scary looked at me. We don't hate in the hall either, he said. I raised my eyebrows, real curious. Really? No kidding, I said. A lot of children will be surprised to hear that. Mr. Scary bent down next to me. Look, I know you and May aren't the best of friends, he said, but this is the time of peace and goodwill, remember? And being a secret Santa to someone you don't like is the truest form of goodwill there is. I stared at him. How do teachers come up with this stuff? Really, Junie B, he said, if you do something nice for May, you'll feel so proud inside, it will feel like a gift that you've given yourself. I kept staring. Maybe they picked that up in teacher's school. After that, he ruffled my hair and he walked me back inside. Pretty soon, all the children lined up at the door and we followed Mr. Scary to the gift shop. The media center is down the hall and around the corner. There was a gift shop lady in an elf hat. Welcome, room 1, she said. Welcome to our holiday gift shop. She smiled at us with big white teeth. I'm the president of the PTO, she said. My name is Mrs. Hooks, but just for today, you can call me Elf Ellen. She looked around. Some of you might know my son, Jeff. Jeff is a big 3rd grader. Roger raised his hand in the air. I know Jeff Hooks, he said. Jeff Hooks stole my milk money last year. Ellen Elf stood there frozen, and then she quick pointed across the room. Over there is Elf Wendy, and Elf Wendy and I are here to help you with your gift selections. If you have any questions, please let us know. Roger waved his hand again. Did Jeff Hooks ever get punished for what he did? I reported him to the office, but I never got my money back. Elf Ellen squinted her eyes at him. I meant questions about the gift shop, she said. After that, she passed out lists with all the gift items on them, and she told us about the prices. Children, as you can see, each of our 5 gift tables has a number on it, she said. The number on the table matches the price of all the gifts on that particular table. For example, she pointed, all of the gifts on table 1 sell for $1, and all the gifts on table 2 sell for $2, and all the gifts on table 3 sell for $3, and so on. Does everyone understand? Sheldon raised his hand. What about the gifts on table 4? He said. How much do they go for? Elf Ellen sucked in her cheeks. Table 4 has a 4 on it, doesn't it? 4 means 4. They sell for $4. Sheldon nodded, very thoughtful. I see, he said. And table 5? Elf Ellen looked at Mr. Scary. Is he pulling my leg? Mr. Scary grinned, and Sheldon grinned too. Roger called out another question. Where's table 35 cents? He asked. That's how much Jeff Hooks still owes me. Is there a table 35 cents? Elf Ellen glared her eyes at Roger, and then she quick reached into her pocket and she gave him 35 cents. There, she said. Are you satisfied? After that, she took off her elf hat and she put it on the counter, and she said she is going on break. Roger smiled, and Mr. Scary smiled too. Chapter 6 is called Giving. Elf Wendy clapped her hands together. She said it is time for us to browse around, except for please do not break the toys, and please do not eat the candy canes, and please do not blow our nose on the handkerchiefs. I skipped to table 2 real excited because I already saw something that I loved. Crayons, they got crayons, I said, very thrilled. I picked them up and looked inside. Looky, look, the red has a sharp head and the green is not even a stubby. I breathed their brand new smell. I would love to buy these, I said. Just then, my friend Herbert pulled me over to table 1. Tattoos, they've got tattoos, Junie B, and they really look real, he said. I did a gasp at those things. They were pirate tattoos and dragon tattoos and dinosaur tattoos and kitty cat tattoos, plus also they had a nice variety of swamp animals. Whoa, this is all the tattoos a kid could ever dream of, I said. I would love to buy those things. Then all of a sudden, my eyes glanced over at table 3 and my whole entire mouth fell open. It was glow-in-the-dark barrettes, I yelled real excited. I've always wanted those. Cool, said Herb. I know they are cool, Herbert, I said, because if you lose your hair in the dark, you will always be able to find it. Just then I felt a tap on my shoulder. I spun around. It was May. You shouldn't be wanting to buy gifts for yourself, Junie Jones, she said. We are here to buy gifts for others. I put my hands over my ears. Whoops, bad news, can't hear you, I said. May raised up her voice. It is nicer to give than receive, she shouted. Giving is the spirit of the holiday season, and I am a giver. I give and I give and I give and I give. Just then I thought I heard another voice, and I turned to look. Mr. Scary was calling out some words to us, I think. Yeah, only I can't actually hear you. I've got my hands over my ears, I called back. He walked over to me and took my hands away. His face did not look happy. You two aren't having another problem, are you? He asked. I shook my head, very rapid. Nope, no siree, no problem, I said. I was just being thrilled at these gifts. That's what I'm doing. May stood up real proud. And I was just telling her to be a giver like me, she said. My mother says some people are born to be givers and other people are born to be selfish. She glanced her eyes at me. I stood there very puzzled, and then I looked up at Mr. Scary. I don't even care for shellfish, I said. He did a little smile. He said May and I could browse some more, but to please keep our voices down. Only what do you know? As soon as he said that, we heard the loudest noise of the day, and it is called, ha, someone in room 1 did the giantest burp in the world. Our heads spun around to see, and we could not believe our eyeballs. Lucille, it was Lucille, we shouted. And all of us started laughing at once. Lucille burped, she burped, we hollered again. I didn't even know rich people burped, I said. Me neither, said Sheldon. I am pleasantly surprised. Lucille stamped her expensive foot. But I didn't burp, I didn't, she yelled. She held up a round toy in her hand. It was like a beanbag, sort of. It was this thing, she said. This thing burped, not me. Lucille gave it a squeeze, and another giant burp. Room 1 laughed till our sides hurt. Even May was laughing. Plus, Mr. Scary was laughing too. A good burp can bring the whole world together, I tell you. Mr. Scary went to table 5, and he read us some information about that toy. It costs $5, and it's called a squeeze-a-burp, he said. Let's see here. There's Lucille with the squeeze-a-burp. All the kids are laughing. That's funny. Burps are funny. I think they're funny. All of us clapped at that silly name. A squeeze-a-burp, we hollered. Squeeze the squeeze-a-burp again, Mr. Scary. Mr. Scary smiled, but he shook his head no, and he put it back on the table. I think we've had enough burping for one day, don't you? He said. Room 1 did a groan. How can we have too much burping, said Jose. Burping is pure entertainment. Sheldon agreed. My grandpa can burp the Star-Spangled Banner, he said. I've been trying to bring him in for show and tell, but he's booked solid. That means he's busy. He doesn't have time on his calendar. I looked at Sheldon very admiring. He comes from a talented family, I think. And after that, all the children hurried to table 5, and we gathered around the squeeze-a-burps. We read the writing on one of the bags. It said, Squeeze-a-burp, world's biggest belch in a bag. That gift is a genius, I said. I would love to buy that thing. Who wouldn't, said Lenny. See, said Jose. Even my grandmother would love a belch in a bag. Shirley slumped her shoulders. I just wish it didn't cost $5 whole, she said. $5 is a lot of money for a burp. Yeah, said Sheldon, except for my grandpa. Everyone in my family still burps for free. After that, all the children walked away to browse some more. Only not me. I just kept standing there, because the squeeze-a-burp was the funnest gift I ever heard of. And I had to have one of those things, I tell you. I just had to. So we're going to stop there. In our next video, I'm going to be reading chapter 7, 8, and 9. Chapter 7 is called Doing the Math. I'll bet you in that chapter, Junie B is going to try to figure out how she could afford to buy her own squeeze-a-burp. Well, until I see you next time, have a great day, everybody.